Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Rebecca's Book Club. This is part 2 of Temple by Matthew Reilly. I'm Rebecca, and I'll be reading along with Temple tonight, and we'll have a few short breaks to just have a little think about what's gone on with it, what we liked about it. So feel free to get involved in the chat. It'll be really great to hear your thoughts and feelings on the book as we go along. For those of you who are joining us for a second time, then welcome back. Those of you who are new to the channel, then thank you very much for joining me tonight, and hopefully you all enjoy the book and enjoy the format where we just get to read along with a really fantastic book, and just get to speak about what we like, dislike about it, the characters, the plot. So welcome to Watermelon, who is one of our new followers. So thank you very much for following. Hopefully you enjoy, and we'll get started. So just to get started with the book then, I will read through the blurb so everyone who's new can get a sense of what's going on. For anyone who did want to go back and watch part 1 in the first place, that's available on YouTube for you. Going forward, all of the episodes and the live streams that we do should be available on both Twitch and YouTube, but the first one is only available on YouTube, unfortunately. So for those of you who are on Twitch now, you might want to jump over. So, get started. Here is the blurb. Deep in the jungles of Peru, the contest of the century is underway. It's a race to locate a legendary Incan idol, one carved out of a strange kind of stone, but a stone which, in the present century, could be used for a terrifying new purpose. Now rival groups are assembling their teams to hunt the idol down at any cost. The only clue to the idol's final resting place is to be found in a 400-year-old manuscript, which introduces Professor William Race, a mild-mannered but brilliant young linguist who is unwillingly recruited to interpret the document. So begins the mission that will lead Race and his companions to a mysterious temple hidden in the foothills of the Andes. There they find a carefully contrived sanctuary seething with menace and unexpected dangers. But it is not until the silence of the temple is breached that Race and his team discover they have broken a golden rule. Some doors are meant to remain unopened. It's very mysterious so far. A quick little recap of where we got up to. So for anyone who has got the book at home, we're on page 65. We started off in the Pyrenees in a monastery where we met some monks and some German assassins. It didn't really go very well for the monks in that situation. We then moved on to meet a kind of crazy covert operation at DARPA, so sort of scientific headquarters or military scientific headquarters. And from there, then we moved on to meeting William Race, so this mild-mannered but brilliant young linguist. And he was drafted in by some very interesting people in the army, in the American army, that wants him to translate a very old manuscript. And we finished with our last couple of chapters in following the monk in the 1500s in Peru. That was the translation, or the first little bit of the translation of that manuscript. So we'll pick off again within that manuscript, and hopefully we'll enjoy some more very exciting adventures. And I will try my best to pronounce any French and Latin and German much better than I did last time. Okay, so the city of Cuzco lies at the head of a long mountain valley that runs in a north-south direction. It is a walled city that is situated between two parallel rivers, the Huetane and the Tulumayo, which act rather like moats. Put my glasses on so I can actually see what I'm reading. Situated on a hill to the north of the city, towering above it, is the most dominant feature of the Cuzco Valley. There, looking down over the city like a god, is the stone fortress of Sacsayhuaman. Sacsayhuaman is a structure like no other I have seen in all of the world. Nothing in Spain, or even in the whole of Europe, can compare with its size and sheer dominating presence. Truly, it is a most fearsome citadel. Roughly pyramidal in shape, it consists of 3 colossal tiers, each one easily 100 hands high, with walls constructed of gigantic 100-ton blocks. These Incans do not have mortar, but they more than make up for that deficiency with their extraordinary abilities in the art of stonemasonry. Rather than bind stones together with pastes, they build all of their fortresses, temples, and palaces by fashioning enormous boulders into regular shapes and placing them alongside each other so that each boulder fits perfectly with the next. So exact are the joints between these monumental stones, so perfectly are they cut, that one cannot slip a knife blade between them. It was in this setting that the intriguing siege of Cuzco took place. Now it is at this point that it should be said that the siege of Cuzco must rank of one of the strangest in the history of modern warfare. The strangeness of the siege stems from the following fact. During it, the invaders, my countrymen, the Spaniards, were inside the city walls, while the owners of the city, the Incan people, were positioned outside of the city walls. In other words, the Incans were laying siege to their own city. To be fair, the situation came about as a result of a long and complicated chain of events. In 1533, my Spanish countrymen rode into Cuzco unopposed, and at first they were friendly to the Incans. It was only when they began to perceive the fullest extent of the riches within the city walls that any pretense of civility vanished. My countrymen pillaged Cuzco with a frenzy never before witnessed. Native men were brutally enslaved, native women were ravaged, gold was melted down by the wagon load, after which time the Incans began calling my Spanish countrymen gold eaters. Apparently they thought that my countrymen's insatiable lust for gold stemmed from our need to eat it. By 1535, the Sapa Inca, Renco's brother, Manco Capac, who had until that time been conciliatory in nature towards my countrymen, fled the capital for the mountains and assembled an enormous army with which he planned to retake Cuzco. The Incan army, 100,000 strong, but armed only with sticks and clubs and arrows, descended upon the city of Cuzco in a fury, and they took Sacsayhuaman, the massive stone citadel overlooking the city, in a day. The Spaniards took refuge inside the city walls, and so the siege began. It would last for 3 months. So I've never been to Cuzco or South America, but the intrigue of all the old architecture, and if anything is still there to go and view and see, would be absolutely incredible. If anyone on here has been and has had the privilege to see it and, witness all that history, then absolutely get in touch, tell us all about it, tell us how, if it's really, really great to see. One day hopefully we'll be able to go out there and actually see it for myself. But yeah, this description of it is just, of the buildings, it just really takes you back in time. And, we can really, really picture just actually how intricate and how delicate, but how structurally stable all of this, like, architecture in this buildings, were based on, how I guess little technology they had in comparison to what we have now. Yeah, it's fantastic. Nothing on this earth could have prepared me for the sight that I beheld when I rode through the enormous stone toll gates at the northern end of the Cuzco Valley. It was night, but it might as well have been day. Fires burned everywhere, both within the city walls and without. It looked like hell itself. The largest force of men I have ever seen filled the valley before me, an undulating mass of humanity pouring down from the citadel on the hill towards the city. 100,000 Incans, all of them on foot, shouting and screaming and waving torches and weapons. They had the entire city surrounded. Inside the city walls, fires could be seen ravaging the stone buildings situated there. Renko rode ahead of me, right into the seething mass of people. And like the Red Sea for Moses, the crowd parted for him. And as it did so, the enormous roar went up from the Incans, a cheer of rejoicing, a shout of such fervour and celebration that it made the hairs on my neck stand on end. It was as if they had all recognised Renko instantly, despite the fact that he was dressed in Spanish clothing and stood aside for him. It was as if every single one of them knew of his mission and would do their utmost to allow him every possible haste in effecting it. Renko and I charged through the teeming mass of people, galloping at tremendous speed as the hordes of cheering Incans opened up before us and urged us on. We dismounted near the base of the mighty fortress, Sakase Human, and walked quickly through a crowd of Indian warriors. As we walked through the Incan ranks, I saw that numerous stakes had been driven into the ground all around us. Mounted on top of the stakes were the bloodied heads of Spanish soldiers. On some stakes, their entire bodies of captured Spaniards had been impaled. Their heads and feet had been hacked off. I walked quickly, mindful to stay close behind my friend Renko. Then all at once, the crowd in front of us parted, and I saw, standing before me at one of the entrances to the giant stone fortresses, an Indian dressed in a most glorious manner. He wore a dazzling red cape and a gold-plated necklace, and on his head sat a magnificent jewel-encrusted crown. He was surrounded by an entourage of at least 20 warriors and attendants. It was Manco, the Sapa Inca. Manco embraced Renko, and they exchanged words in Quechua, the Incan's language. Renko later translated it for me thus. "Brother," said the Sapa Inca, "we were anxious at your whereabouts. We heard that you had been captured, or worse, killed, and you are the only one who's permitted to enter the vault and rescue the—" "Yes, brother, I know," said Renko. "Listen, we have no time and must enter the city now. Has the river entrance been used yet?" "No," said Manco. "We've refrained from using it as you instructed, so as to not to alert the gold eaters of its existence." "Good," said Renko. He hesitated before he spoke again. "I have another question." "What is it?" "Bessario," said Renko. "Is he inside the city walls?" "Bessario," Manco frowned. "Well, I do not know." Where was he in the city when it fell?" "Well, yes." "Where was he?" "Why, he was in the peasant prison," said Manco. "Where he has been for the past year, where he belongs. Why? What need have you of a friend like Bessario?" "That does not concern you now, brother," said Renko. for it will matter for nothing if I do not find the idol first. Just then there came an almighty commotion from somewhere behind us, and both Renko and I turned. What I saw filled my heart with unimaginable horror. A column of Spanish soldiers, no fewer than 300 of them, resplendent in their forged silver armour and distinctive ridged helmets, came charging into the valley from the northern toll gates. Their muskets firing, their horses were covered in heavy silver plating, and thus protected the mounted Spanish troops, cut a swathe through the ranks of Incan warriors in front of them. As I watched the column of conquistadors hack their way through the Incan ranks, trampling the Indians before them, I beheld two of the riders near the head of the procession, both of whom I recognised. The first was a captain, Hernando Pizarro, the governor's brother and most cruel man. His distinctive black moustache and unkempt woolly beard were visible even from where I stood, 400 paces away. The second horseman was a figure whom I recognised with some degree of dread, indeed so much so that I took a second glance at him, but my worst fears were confirmed. It was Castino, the brutish chanker who had been in the San Vicente with Renko, only now he rode with his hands unmanacled, free, alongside Hernando, and then all at once I understood. Dino must have overheard my conversations with Renko. He was leading Hernando to the vault inside Carinchanca. Renko knew this too. By the gods, said he. He turned with haste to his brother. I must go now. Speed to you, brother, said Manco. Renko nodded curtly to the Sapa Inca and then turned to me and said in Spanish, Come, we must hurry. We left the Sapa Inca and hastened around to the south side of the city, the side furthest from Sacsayhuaman. As we did so, I saw Hernando and his horsemen charge in through the city's northern gate. Where are we going? I inquired as we strode quickly through the angry crowd. To the lower river, was all my companion said in reply. At length we came to the river which ran alongside the southern wall of the city. I looked up at the wall on the other side of the stream and saw Spanish soldiers armed with muskets and swords walking the ramparts, silhouetted by the orange light of the fires burning behind them. Renko strode purposefully towards the river, and to my great surprise, stepped boots and all straight into the water. Wait, I cried, where are you going? Down there, he said, indicating the body of water. But I can't go in there with you. Renko gripped my arm firmly. My friend Alberto, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you have done, what you have risked to allow me to complete my mission. But now I must hurry if I am to succeed in my quest. Join me, Alberto. Stay with me. Complete my mission with me. Look at these people. While you are with me, you are a hero to them. But while you are not, you are just another gold eater who must be killed. And now I must go. I cannot stay behind with you. If you stay here, I will not be able to help you. Come with me, Alberto. Dare to live. I looked at the Incan warriors behind me. Even with their primitive sticks and clubs, they still looked fierce and dangerous. I saw a Spanish soldier's head on a stake nearby, mouth open in a grotesque yawn. I think I'll go with you, said I, turning and stepping waist deep into the water next to him. All right then, take a deep breath, said he, and follow me. And with that, Renko held his breath and disappeared under the water. I shook my head and, despite myself, took a deep breath and followed him under the surface. Right, guys, just going to take a very quick break and we're back with you shortly.